everybody, it's Taylor here from Tailored Expressions, and it is day 3 of sneak peeks for our February release. So I am stopping by to show you a few of our new products and also share with you how I created a really simple and beautiful, I think, beautiful note card set with these 2 new products. So before we get into how I made these projects, I want to share with you a couple of our new products. So this is Words of Faith that includes some really beautiful Bible verses that are hand lettered. And then we have the Petite Petals background, and all of these verses fit right in that open space inside the oval. So you can see that, and the really deeply etched red rubber makes our backgrounds absolutely fabulous. So a little something special about these 2 particular stamps. These were designed by Emily, and she is from Blue Chair Blessing. So I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with Blue Chair Blessing, but she has quite a following on Facebook, and she does the most beautiful home decor projects. I brought here something that I keep out in my office. This is her desk kind of flip note card set. So you just kind of set that up on your desk and you can switch it around as often as you want. So she does all of these by hand. All of that work is hand lettered, and then she does the really gorgeous artwork that you see around the outside as well. She sells all kinds of things on her website, bluechairblessing.com. So make sure you check her out there. And I thought it would just be perfect to bring you guys some of Emily's work in stamp form. So that's where the ideas for these came from. And I am going to show you now how to put together these cards here. So one of the things that I first thought of when I saw this background stamp was how wonderful it would look with perfect pearls. So this is one of those, I guess, supplies that I've used before, and then it just kind of gets shoved in a drawer and forgotten. Poor Perfect Pearls was forgotten, but I was able to find it and dig it out, and I thought it would go just perfectly with this background stamp. So in order to use Perfect Pearls in the way that I have used it here, we're going to start with our blue corn cardstock, and we're going to use the Petite Petals background stamp. So I'm going to start by just inking up the background with Versamark here. And I have this set down in my MISTI, sort of just to use it as a block. I have it set in the opposite side here. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to use that to make sure that I get nice even coverage on my background stamp. So now that I have inked that with the Versamark, I'm going to put my blue corn cardstock centered on that background. And then what I'm going to do is actually close the top of the lid onto that stamp, and then just kind of press that down nicely all over to make sure I get good even coverage on that design there. So the reason why I like to do it this way is because I can see exactly where I'm placing my cardstock. I could certainly set it up the other way. It just takes a little bit longer to make sure that I have it perfectly centered. So then just want to hold that in place while I grab one of the corners. And then hopefully you can see a little bit of that design kind of pop out with the watermark pad there. So our next step is going to be to apply the Perfect Pearls. So I have that here. If you've never used Perfect Pearls before, it's kind of like a little powder, sort of resembles, I guess, maybe some eyeshadow. I have some eyeshadow like this, but I'm not recommending that you try this on your eyes. So what I'm going to do is take a paintbrush. I actually have 2, and they are both clean at the moment, but I'm going to use one of them to apply the pearls, and then I'm going to use the clean one to brush off the excess that I don't want. So I'm just going to take a little bit, dip my brush in there, kind of tap off on the side, and go ahead and paint that on. And as I paint it, you can see that that design just starts to pop out. And this is the best part of the whole thing, is watching that those pretty flowers kind of pop off the paper as you go around and apply the perfect pearls. Now the color that I'm using is called Pearl. They do have lots of other colors. We have in the TE store the copper. I think we have a collection pack of the metallics. So I believe it's copper, gold, pearl, and then silver perhaps. And then we also have the small jars of just the pearl. So if you want to just get this particular color to do this exact set, you can do that as well. And they're pretty inexpensive too. I believe they're $2.99 per little jar, and you can certainly make a lot of cards with one jar of perfect pearls. Of course, depending on how intricate your background is that you're trying to apply to, that would make a difference on how much of the stuff that you use. But now I have gone around and applied that all around the outside. And it looks beautiful. It kind of, on the blue corn cardstock, it kind of has a silver appearance, which I really liked. So before I knock this off of my desk and spill it, I'm going to put the lid back on. And then we're going to take our clean brush and we're just going to brush off the excess from the outside of this design. If you feel like your clean brush is becoming kind of dirty, you can just take that and tap it off on into your garbage can, or just right off the side of your table onto your carpet. You know, that sounds like something I would do, but okay, so there we have it pretty well cleaned off, and you have that nice open space in the center for your sentiment. So before I go ahead and do that sentiment, I'm going to use this. This is an EK Success powder tool. So you just take this, if I can get this lid off here. Here we go. So it has that embossing powder in it that will protect your cardstock, and you can just kind of dab a little bit of that in this center space and move it around. And of course that comes off after you do your embossing. So don't worry, I'm not going to have this cloudy mess in the middle of my card forever. So then I'm going to take my sentiment here. I have one of them, and I'm going to ink that up with the Versamark. Make sure I get all the parts of that stamp well inked with my ink pad. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp that into the center of the oval. Give it a nice press. When I'm teaching new stampers, I always tell them, don't let go of the block when you're stamping. Always keep your fingers in contact with each of the four corners, and that's going to ensure that you don't have an image that gets rocked or, you know, that double look that nobody likes. So here you can see I got it well stamped with the Versamark, and then I'm going to use silver embossing powder. Now this is where that powder tool comes in handy, because our embossing powder will not stick to the portions that we have applied that powder to, which is really helpful when you go to actually emboss the design. So I'm going to take a little scrap of my other piece of cardstock here and just use that to tap off. And there we have it. It looks beautiful. I'm going to take a second and just emboss this, and I will be right back. All right, so there you have it. You can see that really embossed nicely with the silver, and you can see the sheen of that perfect pearls on there. So you can see the center of my image is still a little bit cloudy. Now you can go back in with a clean brush. You can kind of get that off with the brush a little bit, or you can even just take your finger and kind of rub over that portion that you applied the embossing powder static stuff to get that off. So there you have it. And This is what my finished card looked like. I just mounted that onto Earl Grey cardstock to kind of match the silver embossing. And I continued by doing the same. This is our sugar cube cardstock with the pearl, colored perfect pearls. And then we have our poppy seed cardstock with the perfect pearls in the pearl color. So I used the same color perfect pearls on all three of these projects. Just a little different cardstock color and embossing powder, and you're set to go. So I hope you learned something new, and we'll try this technique with your own stamps. Hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow for the release at 9 a.m. Central Time. Bye-bye.